Welcome to Studio 900. This morning we're lucky to be talking with Reese Witherspoon about her role in the thought-provoking movie Pleasantville. Although it was created 16 years ago, it conveys important messages that are still reflected in society today. Firstly, why do you think the film begins by showing David and Jennifer in their modern high school? What's the director trying to achieve?
David and Jennifer are introduced in their natural high school environment. This really establishes character and exposes the difference between the twins. It's obvious that Jennifer is shallow, shown by close-ups of her high heels, red lipstick, crop tops, and dialogue as a whole. Meanwhile, David is typically geeky, demonstrated by his fringe, demeanour, and obsession with Pleasantville. As David pretends to ask a girl out on a date, a police vehicle drives past, representing the corruption of the real world. Similarly, classrooms of the modern high school portray the various issues of global warming and unemployment, emphasising the imperfect reality. We see David slouching unhappily at his desk. In Pleasantville, however, the teacher's desk is lined with apples. The bright, chirpy nature of the teacher's voice and the upright attention of the class signify their pleasant world. Despite the contrast of Pleasantville existing in black and white, the relentless cheerfulness of the 50s people is displayed. Gary cleverly juxtaposes between the two worlds to highlight their differences. Don't you think it's clever how the cursive lettering as an opening once upon a time? He wants the audience to know we've got to suspend reality to view his film.
Can you tell us about some techniques Gary Ross uses to develop specific themes to influence the audience?
The entire film is littered with various techniques, essentially to portray the metaphor of change. Gary critiqued gender role issues. The film presents the double standard of men and women in the 1950s. The women stayed at home with the children. Deliberately, Betty's makeup and costume is consistently flawless. Gary additionally demonstrates this issue through dialogue. We see this when Betty is instructed by George, put on some makeup, be home at 6 o'clock, have dinner ready. As Betty practically discovers a new world, she begins to challenge these expectations. When George announces, "Honey, I'm home," and Betty isn't there to greet him with his dinner, he moans, "Where's my dinner?" It is comedic, but also quite pivotal in displaying gender issues. I just love the bowling alley scene, where the men of the town are completely frazzled, acting as though it's an emergency. Obviously, the main technique used by Gary is the use of colour to symbolise change. Initially, as David and Jennifer arrive in Pleasantville, everything is monochromatic. They simply don't belong. The dimmed lighting creates a dull atmosphere, portraying a steady, temperate mood. Though as the storyline progresses, the characters grow to understand why colour enters. For example, at the end, the whole town is coloured and a rainbow appears. This implies change because the rainbow is a symbol of all colours. It appears once the weather has changed in Pleasantville, a first for the town. Did you know that the film was actually shot in colour and Gary used some amazing techniques to change it back to black and white?
Wow. What are the other ideas the film conveys? 16 years on, do you think they're still relevant to an audience of 2014?
Certainly, they're still relevant. For example, self-discovery and the way it can positively lead to new aspirations. Dialogue, props and colour all emphasise the importance of self-discovery. Every Pleasantville citizen is a changed person by the end of the film. Substantial change is obvious in Jennifer, my role. When I question Bud about the blank books, a glimpse of change yet to come is indicated, as this is so unlike my character. Jennifer later confirms her passion for books and education. Ultimately, this message that anyone can change their approach to life is still relevant. As a whole, the opposition to change is reflected in today's society, in that people are still reluctant to accept it. We often see this with the older generation and technology, whereas teenagers are usually those who make the lead. The film also points out that change is important to make life richer, and with this comes danger, excitement and resistance.
How did David and Jennifer change personally, or as you put it, discover themselves?
I played the typical 90s Californian girl. Jennifer defines who she is by her sexual attraction and the identity it gives her. She can either turn on boys or turn them away, and ultimately this is how she gets her power. All she is interested in is finding a boyfriend and becoming popular. As Jennifer is imported into Pleasantville, she is devastated to have missed her date, demonstrating how shallow she really is. Indeed, after encountering Skip, she realises that perhaps life in Pleasantville will be pleasant after all. Yet, as she grows as a character, she finds her true self and the way that her intellect level now brings her power. In finding this passion, Jennifer earns her colour. I find it fascinating that my character is the one who stays in the end. People often ask me about that. In contrast, David is withdrawn. Although he lacks confidence, it is clear that he is extremely knowledgeable about Pleasantville. Despite this, when he finds himself as Bud, he wishes to return to reality. In Pleasantville, David tries to stay true to the plot as he is warned about changing the script. However, he soon realises change is inevitable. As much as he tries to prevent it, he is unconsciously responsible for its introduction, initially by accepting the cookies from Margaret. David soon discovers newfound confidence and grows to stand up for his rights and defy authority. He becomes satisfied with his experiences and changed character, much like the citizens of Pleasantville. I love the scene at the end with his mother in the real world when she asks him, "How'd you get so smart all of a sudden?" This just goes to show even she notices the changes.
Wow, there's certainly a lot we can learn from the film.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, it's a pleasure speaking to you, Reese.